Somewhere in your neck, right now, sits a gland about the size of a butterfly that decides how fast almost every cell in your body burns energy. And for most of human history, nobody had any idea it was even doing that. So here's a question worth sitting with for a second. Could something living in your gut, thousands of centimeters away, actually reach up and change how that gland behaves? That gland is called the thyroid, and it runs almost everything about your metabolism. How warm you feel, how fast your heart beats, whether you gain or lose weight without trying, even how sharp your thinking feels on a given day. For most of history, when the thyroid stopped working properly, doctors had no idea why a person was slowly swelling up, or shaking, or sinking into exhaustion. They just watched it happen. It wasn't until surgeons in the 1800s removed diseased thyroids to treat visible lumps in the neck, and then watched their patients slip into a slow, foggy, almost comatose state afterward, that anyone realized the gland was doing something essential the whole time. That accidental discovery is basically how we learned the thyroid existed as a hormone factory at all, not from studying it directly, but from watching what happened when it was taken away. Today we know a lot more, and the numbers are bigger than most people expect. Depending on the population, somewhere between 4 in every 1,000 and 9 in every 100 adults live with an underactive thyroid, and up to 1 in every 100 lives with an overactive one. The overactive version is usually caused by something called Graves' disease, where, for reasons scientists still don't fully understand, the immune system starts treating the thyroid like a threat and accidentally revs it into overdrive. People with Graves' disease can lose weight without trying, feel their heart racing for no reason, and in more visible cases develop a stare that comes from the eyes being pushed forward, a symptom doctors have described for almost 2 centuries. Here's a question a lot of people never think to ask. Why does your body attack a gland that was never doing anything wrong in the first place? Autoimmune disease in general is one of medicine's stranger mysteries. The immune system is supposed to be your bodyguard, trained for years to recognize what belongs to you and what doesn't. In Graves' disease and dozens of other autoimmune conditions, that training misfires, and the bodyguard turns on the house it's supposed to protect. One idea researchers keep circling back to is that the misfire doesn't start in the thyroid at all. It might start somewhere much less glamorous, your gut. So here's a question worth asking on its own. Why does something as ordinary as table salt carry a word printed on the package that seems almost out of place next to the rest of the ingredients? Look at a container of table salt in almost any country on Earth, and you'll usually see the word iodized printed somewhere on it. And that's not a marketing choice. It's the result of one of the most successful public health interventions in modern history. 100 years ago, huge stretches of the world, including entire regions of the United States nicknamed the Goiter Belt, had so little iodine in the soil and food supply that visibly swollen necks were common enough to be considered almost normal. Iodine turned out to be the raw material the thyroid needs to build its hormones in the first place, and without enough of it, the gland swells up trying desperately to catch whatever scraps it can find, a condition called goiter. Adding a few micrograms of iodine to a product almost everyone already used, salt quietly wiped out a disease that had disfigured entire populations for centuries, and most people alive today have never even heard the word goiter. That story is a reminder that the thyroid runs on raw materials it gets from the outside world, not just iodine, but a surprisingly wide web of things you eat, breathe, and, as it turns out, the trillions of microscopic organisms living inside your intestines. Your gut is not empty plumbing. It's home to something like 38 trillion bacterial cells, roughly matching the number of human cells in your entire body. And for most of medical history, doctors treated all of them as background noise at best. That view started cracking more than a century ago, thanks to a Russian scientist named Ilya Mechnikov, who noticed that peasants in rural Bulgaria who ate enormous amounts of fermented yogurt seemed to live unusually long lives. Mechnikov's theory was crude by modern standards, but he ended up sharing a Nobel Prize for his work on immunity, and the seed of an idea he planted that swallowing the right bacteria on purpose could change your health never really went away. That seed eventually grew into a global industry. Probiotic and prebiotic supplements now form a market worth tens of billions of dollars a year, sold in capsules, powders, yogurts, and drinks, most of it built on the promise of a healthier gut. But somewhere along the way, the promise expanded well past digestion. Ads and product labels started suggesting probiotics could help with mood, with skin, with weight, and increasingly, with the immune system itself. So it's not actually a stretch to ask whether the same bacteria being sold to calm your stomach could also calm an immune system that's decided to attack your thyroid. The question just needed someone to actually go check. If stories like this, ordinary parts of your body turning out to be quietly negotiating with trillions of gut bacteria, are the kind of thing that grabs you, hit subscribe. We dig up a new one like it every week. So what actually happens when you take that whole idea that gut bacteria might calm the immune system and point it directly at a disease like Graves'? Scientists studying this connection, sometimes called the gut-thyroid axis, have found a few plausible ways gut bacteria could actually reach that far. One is iodine itself. Certain bacteria affect how efficiently your intestines absorb and recycle the iodine your thyroid depends on. Another is more about your immune system's alarm wiring. Bacterial cell walls carry molecules that your immune cells are built to detect through sensors called toll-like receptors, and depending on which bacteria dominate your gut, those alarms can either stay quiet or start firing more than they should. Researchers have also directly compared the gut bacteria of Graves' patients against healthy volunteers, and found real differences, certain species running noticeably higher or lower than you'd expect in someone with a calm immune system. None of that proves the bacteria are causing the disease, rather than just reacting to it. But it was enough of a pattern that, by the early 2020s, several small trials had already started testing probiotics, prebiotics, and combinations of the two directly on thyroid patients. The problem was that those trials were scattered. Different countries, different bacterial strains, different doses, different types of thyroid disease, published years apart, with nobody putting the pieces together in one place. That's exactly the kind of mess a research team at Chengdu University of Traditional Chinese Medicine decided to clean up by hunting down every randomized trial they could find that tested probiotics or prebiotics on real thyroid patients and pooling the results into one dataset. They ended up with 8 separate treatment groups drawn from 7 different trials, spanning China, Iran, and Italy, testing everything from specific probiotic bacterial strains to plant-based prebiotics and even green tea extract against a placebo or standard treatment. In total, 367 adults were involved, roughly split evenly between people getting the supplement and people getting the placebo, with treatments lasting anywhere from 4 weeks up to a full year. Some of the patients were dealing with an underactive thyroid, some with an overactive one from Graves' disease, some were recovering from thyroid cancer surgery, and some just happened to be at higher risk because of obesity or menopause. So, after pooling every one of those trials together, here's the question that actually mattered. Did feeding people's gut bacteria change anything real about how their thyroid was working? The first part of the answer is almost anticlimactic. Across the pooled data, probiotics, prebiotics, and their combinations made no measurable difference to the 3 main hormones doctors use to judge thyroid function: the hormone that tells the thyroid to work, and the 2 thyroid hormones it produces in response. If you were hoping a daily capsule could nudge a sluggish or racing thyroid back to normal all on its own, the pooled evidence from every trial available says, so far, it doesn't. But one number in the data did move, and it moved in a very specific group of people. In patients with Graves' disease, the supplements were linked to a real drop in something called TRAb, an antibody that isn't just a lab curiosity, it's the actual molecule driving the disease. TRAb works by mimicking the natural signal that tells the thyroid gland to speed up, tricking it into working overtime even though the body never asked it to. It's considered one of the clearest markers doctors have for how active a Graves' patient's disease really is. The drop researchers measured wasn't small either. It held up as statistically real even after accounting for how different the individual trials were from each other, something researchers check specifically to make sure a result isn't just noise from one lucky study. Here's why that distinction between hormones and antibodies actually matters. A therapy that leaves your thyroid hormones completely unchanged but meaningfully calms down the antibody attacking the gland isn't fixing the thyroid directly. It might be doing something arguably more interesting, quieting the misfiring immune system in the first place. That said, the researchers themselves were upfront about the limits here, and it's worth saying plainly, all three of the trials driving that antibody result came out of the same research group in China, which is exactly the kind of pattern that makes scientists a little cautious about how far to trust a finding until it's replicated somewhere else. The trials were also small. Some lasted only a matter of weeks, and the doses and bacterial strains varied so much from study to study that comparing them directly is an imperfect science at best. Because every trial randomly assigned who got the real treatment, this evidence leans closer to cause and effect than a simple observational study would. But a handful of small trials is still a thin foundation to build a strong recommendation on. None of this means the gut-thyroid connection is fake. It just means, right now, the honest answer is narrower than the hype. Not a cure for a struggling thyroid, but a real, specific, and still fragile clue about how deeply your immune system and your gut bacteria are wired together. So the next time you see iodized salt on a table, or a probiotic yogurt in a fridge, remember that both of them exist because someone eventually stopped assuming and actually went and checked what your gut and your neck have to do with each other. The research behind that particular check was published in the journal PLOS ONE in 2024, and it's a reminder that sometimes the most useful discovery isn't a miracle cure, it's just finally knowing where to look.